Have you ever heard of the brand Driftless Quality Wear? Well, now you're about to. Driftless Quality Wear is an outdoor apparel brand focused on providing quality gear to help you take on the outdoors. So, the Art of Football 365 has decided to partner with Driftless Quality Wear, and now check out their website www.driftlessqualitywear.com. All of the Art of Football 365 fans are eligible for a 10% off coupon on every product eligible on their website using the code FOOTBALL365. Thank you very much.
Hey Kyle, how you doing?
What's up, Bryce? How you
Doing pretty good.
What's going on, Kyle? I'm Gannon.
Gannon, how's it going, man?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
All right, well, it's episode 7, segment 2. Welcome back. We got Kyle Kampmier joining us. So we're pretty much going to talk to him a little bit about his coverage with the NUIC. It's actually a conference that I played in, 1A football. So I kind of want to just start off and ask you, Kyle, exactly who you are and kind of introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a little bit about how you ended up covering the NUIC.
Sure. So obviously my name's Kyle Kampmier. I'm from Dakota. That's where I graduated from. Originally, I was from Freeport, just like you guys. I started out in the Freeport school systems, and then when I was in the second grade, I moved to Dakota and went to school there the rest of the time. I was always involved in sports, played football and baseball primarily, but also dabbled in wrestling and basketball. Always have had a big interest in hockey as well. So basically you put anything competitive together and I'm going to be interested in it.
For sure.
You know, I think you guys can relate to that.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. When competitive nature, just having in any sport relatively, like just having that competitive nature definitely makes sports special.
I mean, it's anything with the win-loss format.
Exactly.
Comes down for me. If there's anything on the line and any pride there, it's gonna be must watch for me. You know, something I was wondering, what's something you enjoy most about covering football? You know, has it always been football, or is there maybe another sport you like more at one time?
Well, that's a good question. So obviously, football's been always my favorite sport to say, but I've always had a big interest in baseball as well, hence why I played both of them. One of the things that a lot of people think is because I covered football that I played football past high school, which I did not. I actually played college baseball. I went to McMurray College, which as of this past year is no longer in existence. They closed the doors here after COVID hit in 2020. But I played baseball there for 4 years and was a captain my senior year. So, you know, I've always drawn into that. I can't skate for a lick, but I love hockey. There was a few years there where me and Carrie were season ticket holders for the Rockford Ice Hogs. So we'd go and watch those games all the time as our date nights on Fridays and Saturday nights. So that was always a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I kind of want to mention just kind of like how, like when I was in high school, like you were one of them people that helped cover our conference, and just having that, like I greatly appreciate that. So I wanted to mention that and just say thank you for that. And it was definitely a thing that we look forward to, being able to see area scores. Around the.
I remember when you guys were in high school, because I played travel baseball with a lot of small town area kids from around Freeport that all play football. And if I was on the road or if I wasn't at a game, I was checking my Twitter for the NUIC football because they always had the updates with the scores.
Exactly.
Well, I appreciate that, guys. It means a lot. Obviously, we had to start from scratch. One of the ideas behind it was simply the fact that, you know, when I was in high school, we had the Journal Standard and even the Register Star at times were really putting a lot of effort into covering the area. And, you know, over the past 10 to 15 years, you've slowly seen that regress backwards. I mean, Freeport Journal Standard's not even operating in Freeport anymore, sadly enough. And it opened
all online.
Yeah, exactly. And it just opened up a window of opportunity to be able to bring, you know, the type of excitement that I saw when I was in high school back to the area. And that's really what we wanted to do.
Yeah, and that's a very important thing to do, I think, like, because regardless of what conference it is, it could be 1A, 5A, 8A, like regardless of what it is, I think it's important to cover kids and let them know that what they're doing playing sports is important. And I think it's cool to see different stats. Like, I know, like, I've seen you post on Facebook like historic stats of
throwbacks on this date in history.
Exactly. And then posting some of the state games for people to watch, especially during tough times with COVID-19, just having something to do. Like, you're still maintaining that realm of covering the NUIC even while they're not playing, which I think is pretty important too. But I kind of wanted to go into a little bit about like the behind the scenes work, and I kind of want to ask you, like, what are those behind the scenes work like that goes into covering an entire football conference? Like, is there any tough days where you think it's not worth it anymore, or is it always pretty much smooth sailing?
Oh man, we definitely have the tough days. I mean, we have those days where, you know, it's a day and age of social media, so you have a lot of people that want to go against what you're trying to accomplish, or they want to make fun of you for what you're doing, things to that nature. And you know, for me, it doesn't bother me as much, because it's one of those things where they're talking about you positively or they're talking about you negatively. Either way, they're talking about you. So whatever you're doing, that platform is reaching a broad audience.
Exactly.
But you know, for like other people, you know, I know sometimes some of the things that are posted about us in a negative light can hit home. You know, they can affect myself or Carrie in a mental way at times, or where it gets a little bit too personal. And it's one of those things where you're like, you know, you want to come back and say something, but I always try to keep everything as professional as possible, knowing that at the end of the day, some of the things that I may say on our show or something of that nature may have upset a certain parent or something to that matter. And they're just upset because they think their kid's an all-star, and that's fine. Parents have that. But at the same token, what we want to bring forward is something that is real. We want the audience to say, hey, you know, Stockton's really good this year, but they're not as good as a Forston or Alina Winslow this year, you know, that type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You gotta be realistic. I mean,
that's how it should be. I mean, you gotta bring out that raw emotion and speak on, I mean, what's fact and what the stats say, what the record proves. That's kind of how it goes for me. And like, I know, like, in my high school days when I was a junior, senior, like hearing like you guys talk about Lena, like that's motivation too for kids, just to hear like knowing that there's a team out there that's better than you on paper, and like going into a game, like you got to play harder.
And they were deserving of it. I mean, with their success, I mean, over the years, it's going to build the hype and publicity around it.
Right, exactly. I mean, that's where some of that comes from too. You know, when I was in high school, that's when Galena was at their heyday. I mean, 95 to 99, 2000, Galena was the team to beat, like, all the time. And I remember I played against that state championship team, and a lot of people from Galena say even their 95 or 96 teams were even better than that 97 team that won state. And that 97 team was dominant. I mean, they pitched 8 shutouts that year.
Oh,
they gave us our worst loss ever, 44-0 in Dakota. I mean, that was terrible. But
that's nothing compared to our game against Lee.
Yes, I know. But, you know, it's one of those things, you know, when Galena won state that year, and it goes back to the whole publication process, you know, the Journal Standard had all of the articles of Galena going down to ISU and playing Stark County for the championship. All those tabloids, I cut all of those things out. I post them to my bedroom wall. That was my motivation going into my senior year, was how can I beat this Galena team? And, you know, we had the opportunity to play for the conference championship against Galena in week 9. And I mean, we got drilled that year again. And, you know, it was a tough year. I mean, 98, you had Milledgeville was ranked number 4 in state. They were seeded number 1 in the playoffs that year. It was the first time that Coach Archie had made the semifinals with the Missiles. Obviously, Coach Cordy was still the head coach for Galena at the time. And, those two teams were ranked. Galena was ranked number 2 behind Carthage. Milledgeville was ranked number 4. Number 3 was Sterling Newman. And, you look at how it played out. Carthage beat Newman that year for the state championship. Newman had to beat Galena in the quarterfinals by a field goal, and Carthage beat Milledgeville in the semifinals. And, of course, Carthage also destroyed us in the first round of the playoffs. So it's one of those things that you always go back and you're like, oh man, that was a lot of fun. But at the same time, it was cool to see all that, because then it led to the very next year in '99, where for the first time ever, the NUIC had 3 teams in the semifinals. You had Galena, Milledgeville, and Dakota all in the semifinals in 1 year. And of course, the one team that won it was Carthage again.
Exactly. I mean, that's the cool thing about football, is it establishes those memories. Like you said, you posted that stuff to your bedroom wall, and just having that motivation, I think it establishes a little brotherhood atmosphere for a team, and that's what football did for me, at least. I kind of want to try something new and actually have you rank your top 1 to 3 or 1 to 5 head coaches in the NUIC that you've seen over the years. Like, what are your take on that?
Oh man, that's definitely tough.
What's some of maybe your favorite ones to cover and talk to?
Yeah.
Well, I got quite a few that I really enjoy talking to. Obviously, who I feel is definitely the best coach of all time in our conference is still currently coaching, and that's Coach Rick Arend. I mean, what he's done at Lena, he came in there as the head coach in my junior year. So, I mean, I've watched him from the very beginning of his career until now. And I actually had the pleasure of losing to him his first year, but getting that redemption back my senior year. See, my senior year, Lena was 6-3, and that was the only year they missed the playoffs. And they missed it barely. They lost out on playoff points because they didn't have enough playoff points that year. I believe they had AFC in like week 1 or something, and they didn't have enough points from AFC to get into the playoffs. So I always kid that, because, if you fast forward 3 more years when they broadened out to 8 classes, he's in the playoffs every year then in his entire coaching career. So, what he's done there has been phenomenal. Obviously, you can't go past what Coach Cordy did at Galena and all those times. I mean, he wasn't at Galena for very long. He coached for 15 years, which is a long time considering, but at the same time, when you got coaches like Coach Lano and Coach Harchie and Aaron, who have all, and O'Boyle, who've been there for a long time, his time there wasn't very long, but when you look at his career record, he's like 148-40. I mean, the guy was just amazing. And you look at all the conference titles he brought home to Galena, all the postseason runs. I mean, you look up Galena football, and they got the most wins in playoff history in our conference, and there's a reason for that. And that was what he was able to do with the Pirates.
I mean, the numbers just don't lie.
Yeah, exactly. And so then you got Coach O'Boyle. I mean, when Coach O'Boyle retired in 1997, he was the IHSA's all-time winning leader in wins. And now, I mean, he sits further down because we have so many coaches that have achieved over 300 wins in their career now in the state of Illinois. But in 1997, he had 279 wins, which still is the NUIC record. But still, what he was able to do consistently throughout the course of his career, being able to get teams to do so much all of the time was just amazing. And then, I'd have to say another coach that really doesn't have a lot of tenure, but had a lot of good teams, was Coach Curry at Akron. I mean, what he was able to do in the 80s for the Bulldogs was just amazing, especially considering he only did it for a short period. I mean, he was there for 7 seasons, won 2 state titles, had a semifinal appearance. as well on top of that. I mean, you could easily, if he would have even stayed another year, you could easily argue that Akron could have had 4 state championships in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
And a couple other favorites. I always enjoyed talking to Coach Diddick when he was at Forreston.
Yeah.
I still run into him today, and it's always a great conversation to have with him because he's very much still in tune with what the NUIC is doing, even though he's at Guilford now. I enjoy talking to Ackwen head coach Kundert, and of course, Coach Doyle at Orangeville is definitely a favorite of mine. Me and Coach Doyle are friends on the side as well, but at the same token, being able to have that conversation is always very fun. Very close with some of his family members as well. I've always enjoyed talking with Coach Nicholas at River Ridge. He's been a lot of fun to talk to and get to know over the years as well. And, there's so many that you could go on, Coach Snyder, Coach Free at Dakota. I haven't really talked to a whole lot of people at Milledgeville, but, residents, personal people down at Milledgeville is more of my thing. And then Coach Lightson, he's going to be taking over Stockton now, but he was at West Carroll. He's always been very open with us, very understanding of what we're trying to do, very supportive of what we're doing as well. So, he's been a lot of fun too.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of want to, after you listed off all them coaches, I mean, it's great to talk about all them coaches, but I want to specifically mention Rick Arant and just kind of talk a little bit about what I think about him as a coach and a little bit about what he's done with Lena. And what I find important with all that is I feel like he's established a culture that comes year in and year out, no matter the size of a player, no matter the speed of a player. He wants you to buy into that weight room, buy into that mentality that you're going to beat everyone and beat them pretty well too. So I think for all them Lena players, I mean, I have a couple friends now that played at Lena. I mean, we weren't really friends growing up just because we got that battle mentality, but I kind of wanted to mention just how I feel like them Lena players buy into that weight room so much and so hard that when it comes time to practice time, it's not practice, it's preparation. And we kind of mentioned that a couple episodes back. I find practice to be more preparation than it is actually getting fully better as a player. I feel like the weight room, the film study is that's where you get better. That's and I feel like that's where Lena's bought into the most, and kind of wanted to just mention that for our high school audience and just the importance of that. And Gannon's got a little something to say about that too.
Yeah, I mean, one of my dad's good friends is Jimmy Blair from Lena, and his kids Adam and Andrew played right around 2008 2010, and they both were really good football and basketball players, and then Adam was a really good baseball player. So I was good friends with the Smart Jessies, Brock and Braden, because my dad was the head coach of the Lena baseball team at the time. So I was kind of around Lena sports when I was growing up, kind of before I got into sports of my own. And I just know what the program there they just win. And it's everything about, they establish a brand and everybody buys in. Year in, year out, that Lena football is going to give you a game no matter what they have. And they utilize what they have.
As much as I hate to say it as an Akron guy, it's facts.
It's comparable on the level to the NFL sometimes with the Patriots. I mean, it's a big example going from high school football to the NFL. But that was another thing I kind of wanted to ask you, Kyle. Something when you mentioned all the different areas around Illinois that's just had the football success. In the last week, Illinois hired Brett Belima, and kind of had some of his first initial comments. We want the young men playing football in the state of Illinois from Freeport to Cairo and from Quincy to Danville, dreaming of wearing the orange and blue and playing at Memorial Stadium. I mean, that's a lot of talk. I mean, he's got to back that up, and I think it's huge because Brad Underwood, the basketball coach at Illinois, has been instrumental with his recruiting and keeping guys from, like Adam Miller and Ayo Desumu, keeping those guys in state to play for basketball, and they have a top 20 basketball program. I kind of just want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, first off, Coach Bielema come out and saying that was pure gold, right? I mean, he mentioned Freeport of all places, right? So
Yeah, I mean, it's a
I know.
no-brainer.
I mean, and it's awesome because, everybody asks, well, where's the hotbed of football? And you can easily sit here and state that the Chicagoland area is where the biggest amount of players coming out are going to bigger schools, which would be true. But when you actually break it down and you take a look at just the northwest corner of Illinois and how many state championships or state title appearances there have been, there is a lot of titles and runner-ups just from this area. I mean, a buddy of mine, me and him were talking, and he's like, how many do you think it is? And we counted up. It was 39 state titles in, I think it was 12 state runner-ups since 1974 have come out of just the northwest corner of Illinois. So when you're sitting here and you watch all these great players come through all these different programs, whether it be 1A football to 8A football, I don't care what class you're in. If you can play the game, you need to be getting looks. And if you're creating this many championship level players on a regular basis, why isn't somebody looking at that area? I mean, it took a long time for the NUIC in itself to come out and be like, boom, here we are. But if you really take a look back at the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, even though we weren't winning state championships at the clip that we're breaking off in the past decade, we were still very much competitive. I mean, Stockton was in 4 state championships. Akron was in 2 state championships. Orangeville has a state title. Durand was in a state championship game. And you take a look at some of those teams that could have been. I mean, Galena in 85 was right there. Stockton again in 86 was right there. Orangeville and Akron had a little bit of a run in there from 89 to 91, where they had a good mix of players. And then you start going into the Galena time frame there once you hit 95 and on. And I mean, it's always been right there. I mean, how you look at Stockton, even in those 70s and 80s, hell, Polo was right there with them as well. And then let's not forget about what Amboy did. I mean, granted, when Amboy was winning titles or going to the state championship games, they were part of the Three Rivers Conference or the Big Rivers at the time, not part of the NUIC. But now that they are part of the NUIC, I mean, even there, it goes back to what I had just stated about just Northwest football being so powerful and dominant through all those years.
Oh, exactly. And I think what's important is now, I mean, you've seen like 3 players as of late finally get recruited by a bigger school, with Iowa being Sean Ormiston, Jennings Dunker, and Isaiah Bruce. I think that was important just to see them names get out there and get to Iowa and get playing. I know Sean's not playing anymore, but I think Jennings has got a very bright future there, especially as a lineman. I think he'll grow into a role. And same with Bruce.
Yeah, I mean, because I've grown up an Iowa fan my whole life. Iowa basketball, baseball, football, following the ins and outs every day on Twitter and stuff, and it's cool to see that because they're acknowledging it and tapping into it
Finally.
And I mean, and they got a lineman down there from Byron also on the team currently. They've had people in the past. They had Nate Weeding, who's a walk-on tight end from Rockford Lutheran, who's now with the Cleveland Browns or the Giants on one of their practice squad. So I mean, there's people in this area and they're finally tapping into it. And I think it's only going to expand now with more and more players getting.
Well, I mean, even take a look at James Robinson. I mean, look at the year he's had with Jacksonville this year.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, Gannon, there's a lot that you can relate to in those instances. I mean, I was just recently asked what I think about Jennings Dunker. And I mean, Dunker as a person, I mean, his personality is off the charts. I mean, the kid's humble. He's very kind. He's kind of a jokester, he can play a lot of jokes. I mean, he's just.
His picture on his signing day from Iowa's Twitter was hilarious. I don't know if you saw that or not.
Yeah, I mean, he's very, very down to earth, very easy to get along with. I honestly think he has a lot of upside potential, especially going to Iowa, which has made its name recruiting walk-ons and 3-star or less athletes and turn them into Big Ten championship contenders on a yearly basis.
Yep.
And
I mean, they breed them, and you're looking at it fits the mold and follows the program for 3-4 years. You're looking at a draft prospect.
Well, yeah, you got teams like Iowa, Wisconsin, Notre Dame. a little bit of Bama.
Yeah.
Like them guys breed.
You can't
offensive
teach the
linemen.
size. He's 6'5", 300 pounds, right around there. I mean, you can't teach that.
Right, exactly. And I mean, he's only going to get stronger the more he goes on. I mean, you look at him from sophomore year to even right now. I mean, we haven't had the chance to see him play a senior year, but just that growth cycle from his sophomore to junior years, the amount of strength and power he's put on that body. Can you imagine where he's at right now? I mean, I haven't.
He doesn't even look 300 pounds. When I saw him last summer, here, there, some places, he doesn't even look 300 pounds.
He's very lean. You know, he's got that lean muscle mass, and he's quick for his size, is what's amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
And honestly, if you remember Hunter Woodard from Tuscola back in 2017 that played Lena Winslow in the championship, I mean, Hunter was the same way. And I think if toe-to-toe, I mean, I would think at this point, I would see Jennings having an even bigger step in talent than what Hunter did at Tuscola then. I mean, when you looked at Tuscola in 2016, Hunter wasn't really the big name star that he was his senior year. And you could definitely see, he caught Ravion Valentine from behind in that state championship game. Tell me somebody who weighs 275, 280 pounds doing that unless their name's Isaiah Bruce.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's starting at Oklahoma State right now. I don't think Jennings is going to go to Iowa without being a red shirt first. But I think that his upside potential while at Iowa is very big. And I would not
3 to 4 years.
I would not be surprised if we're talking about Jennings Dunker in the NFL.
I agree. And I said the same thing.
It just fits the mold. It just seems like too much of a perfect fit not to be.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and then you guys had mentioned Isaiah. Isaiah is a totally special athlete, right? I mean, people have been talking about him since he was in 6th grade. There's always been questions on whether he had the endurance or the mental capacity to keep moving forward. But I think he's very much proved that he can do that. His senior year was just atrocious. I mean, it was amazing what he did. I mean, nobody wanted to run towards him. Obviously, having Parker McGee on the opposite side of the ball helped that in the year before. But just his senior year, what he was able to do, and then the versatility of what he did it. I mean, they line him up at fullback, they line him up at tight end. Of course, playing defensive end. I mean, anybody could argue over the past 3 years that Lena Winslow had the best front 4 defensive linemen from 1A to 3A.
Oh, I agree. I mean, going against it wasn't something that was very enjoyable. I mean, especially like for me personally, being a defensive end, kind of outside linebacker. When we played Lena coming off the edge and then having Ian Keel come and earhole you, I know that didn't feel good either. He was another guy that was amazing offensive line.
Yeah, and I mean, he's doing good things down at McKendree University still. So, I mean, I know he's doing both football and wrestling. So he's doing 2 sports at once and, getting it
at the collegiate level.
At the D2 level at that. So, I mean, but I mean, anytime you're in college, I don't care what level it is, it's special.
Exactly.
So.
Well, I kind of want to, after we kind of talked a little bit about some players and coaches, I kind of want to dive back into learning a little bit about you. And I kind of want to ask, what's your actual job that you do? And if, based on that job, does it ever get in the way of, covering the NUIC with journalism and stuff and reporting on the sideline?
So let me go back to the one question because I didn't really answer it. And that was what was behind the scenes that go into the covering the conference, and then I'll go into the question that you just asked. So one of the things that goes into it, obviously it's a week-long process, so to speak. Starting in the off season, I have this massive spreadsheet where I keep all these stats that I get from the coaches on a regular basis, and then I keep filing it off, and that way I can keep track of where the all-time leaders are. Obviously, I post the stats on a weekly basis, usually on Monday or Tuesday. But, if you start on Friday, you go to the game. You get all that information from a game. I get home Friday night and I start writing all these recaps, which take me into about 4 o'clock in the morning, Saturday morning. And like you said, I do have another job. So, I work full time. I put in anywhere from 50 to 65 hours a week. So Friday nights, I go into work at 5:30 in the morning, and then I'm staying up until 4 in the morning Saturday night. That gets pretty tiring at times, but at the same token, once I get those recaps published into our website, I get them all posted, or I set them up on a timer to be posted. And then I take about a 6-hour nap so I can get some sleep. And then when I get up, I get right back at it because I start to find out what the scores are across the state so I can start putting our state rankings together. Once I get all that information put together, then I start taking down notes so we can start doing our video preparation. So it's going through recaps of the previous week. What stood out? What player stood out? Who was player of the week in our opinion for offense or defense or whatever? And then we go into the game previews, and I start taking down those notes. And then Sunday's our production time. Sunday, we set up the studio in our basement here, and we start to go through and do the video shoots. And then from there, Carrie spends that time going through that video, getting it uploaded into iMovie, which is what we do our presentation structure in. And then she does all of the editing for that. Once she gets done with that edit, she starts to upload it into YouTube so that by Monday, we can get that posted onto all of our social media sites for everybody to see. Monday or Tuesday is when the state rankings usually get released. Sometimes it gets released on Wednesday. So I get all that information put together on Tuesday and Wednesday. Depending on stats, as long as coaches are up to speed, I have those stats posted on Monday or Tuesday as well. Wednesdays, I usually try to keep as an off day, but I might post a poll or two on big game matchup coming up. And then, Thursday, if I don't do that on Wednesday, I do it on Thursday. So either way, Wednesday or Thursday, I'm making sure that everything is done and I'm relaxed. There's nothing going on. I don't have to worry about stuff outside of, watching comments, or sometimes some people get a little away with their comments. So I have to, kind of babysit or patrol that, so to speak. Yeah. I like candid comments. I don't like personal comments. It's okay to stay open and candid. Just when you start to become vulgar with it or directing personal comments at somebody, that's when you're starting to go over the line, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's sports. There's more to life than just sports.
I mean, what we want to do is we want to bring forward the information. We want it to be fun. We want to have some constructive debates, but when you go outside of that constructiveness and you start to become critical with it to a degree that becomes demoralizing, that's when it's no more fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
so.
I mean, yeah, kind of just to switch topics a little bit, kind of the evolution with Twitter and with your Twitter account with NUIC football. Go check those guys out. But also, with just interaction with coaches all across the state and even all across the nation, kind of just talk about that a little bit. How's that helped you establish relationships with coaches and IHSA?
Well, to be quite honest, I was quite amazed at how fast our Twitter handle really took off. When we first started, our Facebook page was really the hotspot. I mean, when we started this, really, we were just looking to create an NUIC football page that was focused on just talking about NUIC football. Back in 2014, ever since me and Carrie have been together, we've always been big into football. We've always gone out to games on a regular basis. So when we went to those games, we always wanted to pick the best games that we thought, and we carried that forward. In 2014, I took it a step further and started to post recaps or previews of the games on my personal Facebook page. And then the following year in 2015, we added Shane Cleaver to the mix, who was one of our friends that we met up with and started to collaborate information on. And even though in 2015 we were still doing those things to my personal page, so it was really in the spring of 2016 that I pitched the idea of, how about we make a Facebook page and we can include the entire conference in it, so it's just not certain people that are seeing it. We can have a broader width of people seeing this information. So they were on board with it. So that's where that creation came from. And then it just stemmed from there. So, one of the things that Shane brought forward was, well, let's get sideline passes so we can actually do some covering of games. So, at the time, his cousin was the athletic director at Warren, and we reached out to him, and he told us what we needed to do. And Shane really directed that path for us as far as getting in with all the athletic directors and opening up that ability to be able to get sideline passes to all the games. From there, Carrie took it a step further and even beyond of my wildest expectations. That's when she created the website. She created the Twitter handle. She created the Instagram page. And then from there, she did a lot of all of our web creation, all of our videos for the YouTube channel, which was a suggestion from a fan. When we first put it all together, we put out a suggestion like in early August. What do you guys expect? And somebody said, well, it'd be awesome if you guys did all of your picks and everything on video. So it was like, all right, well, we're going to create a podcast and we're going to upload this. We'll do a video graph of it and put it up on a YouTube channel. Well, Carrie designed all of that stuff for us as well. With the website, somebody at the time had owned the NUIC.com domain, or NUICfootball.com domain, and they had reached out to us and said that, I haven't really kept up with it. It didn't take off like I expected it. So my terms are up in January. If you want it, I'll leave it open. You guys can purchase it. So we purchased the domain site. Then after the 2016 season, we were able to purchase that domain site. And, again, Carrie just keeps changing it all the time. I mean, she's a artist by trade. She was a fine arts major, and she's a graphic designer, and that's what she likes to do. And it allowed her that opportunity. Her minor's in photography, so there again, getting the sideline passes so we could get photographs of the games is another thing that Carrie does. So really, when people think of NUIC football, a lot of people think of me. But really, it's Carrie who does a lot of the work. I mean, I just pitch out the stats and everything. She does all the stuff behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, I feel like that's the most important part when it comes down to it. It's kind of like what we're doing right now. Like, we got to have people behind the scenes kind of helping us out, and like the support definitely is what makes the content that comes out better.
To go to your next question, like I said, yeah, I work for Honeywell in Freeport. I'm a logistics supervisor, so I do have a team that I manage and respond to, along with working with upper level management, both on location and at the corporate level on a regular basis. So there's a lot of things that I have responsibility wise with my own job, on top of trying to manage and operate NUIC football with Carrie as well.
Exactly. I mean, it's definitely, you got to find that balance between the two. And I know, like, job obviously comes first, making the money and providing that comes first for sure. But it's definitely the little fun side of being able to do something you enjoy. And like you said, like with Carrie, like having that background of being like an artist, and, with photography and stuff like that, like you're utilizing stuff that you're good at while also providing for parents and kids, and that's definitely something very important. And I actually kind of wanted to ask you, like, are you in need of any writers right now for this upcoming season and beyond? Like anybody that's listening, if they have an interest in that, or even myself personally, I'd enjoy doing something like that as well.
Well, I'm always in need of writers. Right now, Shane, unfortunately, for personal reasons, had to leave us beginning right before the start of the 2019 season. So hopefully, down the road, it'd be nice if Shane would be willing to come back, because I think he's got a level of knowledge that he can spit off one direction, I can spit off another, and it creates a lot of fun. But having Carrie on our videos now is even more fun for us, because we get to have that time of joking. There are times of frustration with each other at the same time, because there's things that she wants to state or I want to state, and it doesn't always jive. So, it creates a little internal conflict, but and it's not easy. I mean, when we're doing our videographs, she's running the camera, but then she's turning around and getting on set, and then she's got to do all the editing and everything else. So it's fun. We're actually trying to rebrand some of the things that we do. Obviously, we're trying to push more towards going away from NUIC Football Fanatics as a name and pushing towards NUICfootball.com as a name. Obviously, there were some times, Bryce, when you were playing, where we were even more critical than what we are now as far as what we did for our analysis on teams. There were times where we may call out certain players, and obviously one of the things that really stood out to me was we were in Marquette for the Marquette Dakota playoff game in 2016, I think it was. And Coach Lano comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, Kampy," he goes, "Man, I love what you're doing, but just remember, keep the kids out of it. You can come after me and the coaches. We don't care. Just keep the kids out of it. Keep it entertaining. Have fun with it." And, it was those words of wisdom that have always stuck with me. I've always, even now today, when I run into Coach, whether it be at the beach or out at the gym or something to that fact, I always bring up, he was always about the kids. And he always loved the community and the buy-in from the community. And, he had a hard time early in his career when he was coming to Dakota, because he came from Minnesota. So he was an outsider, and, all of our small towns have a little bit of cliques to them, and, people don't like outsiders all the time. So he had to earn his way the same way, a lot of kids have to earn it. And so he understands that.
For sure.
But, I guess going back to your question, as far as writers, I always need writers. I think I have myself, and I have two others for sure on board this year, possibly a fourth. I have two more that are interested in doing it but haven't been able to commit as of yet. So hopefully getting them down the road. But for this upcoming season, it'd be great if I could have 7 writers so I could have all 7 games covered at once. So yeah, definitely,
Sure.
Having 3 people come in this year would be awesome.
Oh, I mean, that's it's cool, because I mean, you're gonna need it, and you're just, the biggest thing it sounds like from you with your brand and everything you're establishing is just you're growing constantly in different ways, and it's just making it the brand better all around. And that's kind of going to be the flip of the question here, kind of asking you, do you have any advice for us with this podcast? Some people that maybe you could think would help us out, or any ideas?
Well, I've been listening to all of your podcasts from day one. I remember when Bryce told me he was going to be starting this, so I appreciate him. Well, you, Bryce, for reaching out to me on that. And of course, adding you, Gannon, to the mix is definitely fun. I think you guys enjoy the conversation with each other, much like me and Shane and Carrie did when we were on set. I mean, video nights were always the most fun nights, because it allowed us to get around the table and have those conversations and then put it out in front of everybody to see. And I guess, looking back, when I rewatch our first segment, you could tell how nervous me and Shane were having that image put out there in front of the world to see, so to speak. And, one of my things that I would say to you guys is, when you're doing these podcasts, just be yourselves. I mean, throwing your personalities, have fun with it. I think the questions you guys put together are awesome with all the different cast of characters that you guys have put together. And just keep growing. It's like the gentleman from Dallas said, the more you keep doing it, the more you're going to keep evolving with it. And the more you stay yourself, the more interesting and intriguing your conversations and your podcast become. As far as reaching out to others, never be afraid to touch base with somebody. You guys have asked the questions, how do I get these coaches from around the country? Honestly, I don't know. I never really reached out to them per se. I just kind of followed them. And then through that, there came some interaction. I think more of it started more in state, and a lot of it derived from our videos. I met Coach Jostis down at state, and he asked me if I wanted to do an interview of him. And, I had to pass it up because I'm like, I didn't know what to say. I wasn't prepared to interview a coach who just lost the state championship game. And, the only thing I could tell him, I'm like, Coach, I have to give it to you. I said, I really don't have any questions for you, but I want you to know that I definitely respect what you're doing with your program. And you guys have the program that a lot of people wish they could have. Even though you guys are like 2-8 in state championship games, you guys are awesome at what you do because you're there almost on an annual basis. And I think a lot of people forget about that. It takes a lot of work to get to that level on a regular basis, whether you're winning or losing. And the fact that they have that opportunity to play on Thanksgiving or the Friday after Thanksgiving is amazing in itself, win or lose. And, like Coach Allen at GCMS, our conversations with him really stemmed from us on our broadcast putting out there that, when they were going to play EPC in the first round in 2017, it was like, yeah, you guys, I could see where EPC could win, even though they're 5-4, I could see an opportunity where they could win. Of course, they had the Kemples at the time, the Smart Jesse boys. You had Keltner and whatnot. And, I just, and I believe Ashley was still there too. And it's like, I could see where they would have the opportunity to win. GCMS didn't, or EPC did not. GCMS kind of floored them, but then it was to West Carroll, and it's like, oh man, they had the Plattenberger boys, and it's like, this is going to be a game. And of course it was 9-6 in the fourth quarter. And then, a costly turnover allowed GCMS to kind of pull away there at the end. But it was through that kind of razzing on our videos that all these GCMS kids started posting tweets at us saying, yeah, we're not going to win. We can't do this. We can't do that. And of course, in the semifinals, we picked Newman to beat them, and if they didn't. So we're downstate getting ready for the interviews with the coaches, and Coach Allen comes up to us after it all, and he goes, I hope my boys aren't giving you too much trouble. And we just laughed and talked about it and whatnot. So, of course, in 2018, when we were down there and GCMS and Maroa were playing for the title again, we get up to the interview room and run into Coach Allen and congratulate him, and, had that conversation again. And, of course, some of his other staff members have reached out to us over the years. And then I'm active on IllinoisHighSchoolSports.com, which some people know and some people don't know. And it's a site that I've been following there from 2005 to 2008. I lived in Colorado. So that was back when Dakota was winning their first state championship with this kid named Matt Winger. And my only way of following, I wanted to look up state rankings, and I ran into IHSS. So I've been following through that for a long time. And then I became really active on it in 2014, where I actually started to put my face out there and communicate with people. Before I was just a lurker, and then I became a communicator. And through that, I've met some other people down in Morrison, over in Clifton, and down south. And, I got some buddies that coach down in the WIVC area. One of the kids I went to college with is a coach at Brown County. Another kid that I know of, he's from Oregon originally, but his son played down in Winchester, and, like the Jacksonville area, that's where McMurray College was. So there's just a lot of people in that part of the state that I know. And it was just able to reach out through those different people that got me into where I'm at as far as being able to connect. And it's been pretty cool. Obviously, through our work, we've been able to get up to speed with Edgy Tim and Deep Dish Football, and trying to promote those guys. But more so, it was me really trying to promote our conference to them. And likewise, it turned around and it became a relationship where we're both feeding off of each other. So it's been really great in that aspect, because I know Edgy Tim has done a great job of trying to expand his production from just 4A to 8A, and he's starting to include more 1A through 3A teams. So, and that goes back to the whole Coach Bielema. He reached out to Mark Grounds, who's the head coach at Jacksonville, 2 hours after he gets hired. He's reaching out to Mark Grounds, who's the president of the Illinois High School Football Coaches Association. And he's like, hey, what do we need to do better? And I mean, we've known it all along. You got to recruit the state of Illinois. You can't just recruit Chicago, and you can't make Chicago your recruiting state. You got to reach out to the suburbs. You got to reach out to the East St. Louis's, the Jacksonvilles, the Springfields, the Quad Cities area. You got to come up to the Freeport Rockford area, because there is a lot of athletes in the state of Illinois that are going to play college football. I hear it all the time. Well, Illinois is a basketball state. Well, as much as they are a basketball state, they're a football state at the same time. So it's kind of a competing interest there.
Exactly. I mean, I think it's the big thing. Illinois football hasn't even been getting people out of the Chicagoland area. I mean, they can't even get anybody in the state.
I know. I mean, when you look at their football program, their best recruiting area is actually the Peoria area.
Yep.
And you got to do better than that, especially when you have guys like, I mean, even small school guys. You got Jacardi Wright playing at Kansas State. You got Hunter Woodard playing at Oklahoma State. You have Isaiah Bruce and Jennings Dunker going to Iowa. You had Bryce Barnes at GCMS is playing at Illinois, thankfully. Luke Ford from Carterville, he was a top tight end recruit here a couple years ago, went to Georgia. Luckily, he's back and playing at Illinois, unfortunately for the wrong reasons. He came back because of personal issues with his family, and unfortunately his grandfather passed, and that was one of the reasons why he came back to play for Illinois. But now he's back in Champaign playing for the Illini. So you got to be able to grow and get these guys. I mean, you got a lot of – look at J.J. McCarthy and A.J. Henning. They're both going to Michigan, and they both came out of Illinois. You got some other guys going to Ball State, Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan. I saw that there's one going to Harvard. You got the two kids from Antioch, the brothers, going up to Minnesota to play, and it's like you're losing all these guys that could have easily been playing in Champaign.
Exactly.
I mean, that just helps the state as a whole.
It does.
Yeah, for sure.
Financially, emotionally, socially, everything.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
if you want to build the state of Illinois, you gotta recruit it first. And Coach Bielema is on par with reaching out. And then, like you said, Gannon, he's just got to put down that trail and prove it at the same time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, before I kind of wrap this up, I kind of want to just reiterate something that I feel like is very important for our audience to understand is just like we're having fun with this. Like Gannon and I are having fun with this. Kyle and Carrie are having fun with what they're doing. And I feel like that's the most important thing to understand about what we're doing right now is have fun with what you're doing. And if you're scared to do something, just do it because that's something you'll enjoy.
Step out your comfort zone.
When you're scared, that means you're doing something that you'll enjoy. And We appreciate you coming on, Kyle. I think we had some great conversation, and thank you very much. And I'll let Gannon kind of say what he has to say.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. We covered a lot of stuff, and it all comes down to football in the state of Illinois. And I think it's a lot of stuff that we brought up that we got in this hour podcast. And I think it creates a lot of good conversations. Everybody has their own set of knowledge, and I think everybody can tap into one another. And it was really cool, and I enjoyed it. And just want to say thank you, Kyle.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. I was not expecting to be part of the podcast at some point. I didn't think you guys would reach out. I wasn't expecting it, but I appreciate the opportunity for giving me the time to talk, share my story, and of course, wishing you guys the best of luck. And of course, like I said, I listen. I retweet your guys' recordings. That way, it can help you guys get some more exposure. I enjoy the conversations that you guys put together, all the different athletes, whether it be basketball, girls or boys. It's cool. It's awesome. I think what you guys are doing is a great thing.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
We really appreciate that. Episode 8, segment 1 will be coming out on Monday, and appreciate it, Kyle, and you take care.
Yeah, have a happy New Year, guys.
All right, happy New Year. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you.